Hello again, everyone. Continuing Minnesota week, I'm going to be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves of the NBA. They currently have a 14-52 record, which is good for last in the West. So clearly, they are a developing team, still rebuilding, and need a lot of improvement to happen. Last year, they had 106.9 points per game in the 2013 season. This season, they have 97.7 points per game in the 2014 season. So they've gone down almost 10 points per game, and that can be calculated to the Kevin Love departure. I would say that is strictly because of him. 10 points down a game is because you no longer have Kevin Love. You have a bunch of young talent that you need to let develop before you can see a lot of success. I think a 20-win season would be a nice little goal for them to get to, kind of thing. They're not going to turn around and make a playoff run or anything, but I think a 20-win season would be a nice little goal. Even with the 20-win season, they're still going to get a top 5 pick in the draft because of their record where they're at. Even with 20 wins, they would still get a top 5 record, just a top 5 pick based on their record. So I think those would kind of be two nice things to look at: is go for 20 wins, get a top 5 pick. With the draft lottery, with your record at the end of the season, you could end up having the first overall pick because you're going to have a good shot at that with the draft lottery for sure. At the trade deadline, Kevin Garnett came home. They brought him back for Thaddeus Young, so that's a good veteran guy to have in the lineup for sure. It's nice to see players come back to where they started their career and had a lot of success for sure. Obviously, Kevin Garnett won the championship in Boston, but I think it's nice that he's coming home to finish off his career in Minnesota. It gives an opportunity for a lot of the young guys to look up to a franchise guy, a leader, a guy who might have a little bit of an attitude, but I think that's okay. I think that's fine. I think he has earned that. I think he deserves the respect of the officials and the league and the other talent players in the league for sure. He's played over 1,400 career NBA games. He's played 1,424 to be more specific. So just 76 more games played, and he'll have a 1,500 game career, which would practically be him playing most of next season as well. And I'm not sure if he's planning on retiring this season and he just wanted to have his last half season with Minnesota, or if he's still got another season left in the tank. We'll see. But I think to get to that 1,500 game plateau on his career would be awesome to do, especially in the Timberwolves uniform. He's also got 14,512 career total rebounds. So, does he want to get to 14.6 for that kind of thing? He's already past the 14.5, 14,500 mark kind of thing, so that's a good plateau to get to. He also has 25,949 career total points, so he just needs 51 points to get to 26,000 on his career, which I think he'll probably do in 3 to 4 games, so you'll see him do that this season for sure. Then to get to, 27,000, that's another 1,000 points. That would kind of be, that would be him average. That would be if he played a full season, so 82 games next year, and averaged, 12 to 14 points per game, he could get to 27,000 for sure. So that's just some milestone career things that you could look at for him. Like I said, he'll get to 26,000 probably within the next 3 to 4 games, and he'll get to 14,600 career rebounds probably by the end of the season. He just needs 88 to get to 14,600 career rebounds on his career. So with the amount of games that are left in the season, if he gets some good court time and can get to the net and get some rebounds, he might be able to get to that milestone by the end of the year. Some other trades they did at the deadline: they picked up Gary Neal and a second-round pick in 2019. So hopefully by the time that season rolls around, they're a contending team. And they gave up Mo Williams and Troy Daniels for that for that acquisition. Then they also picked up Adrian Payne, who was the 15th pick in this past year's draft, for a future first-round pick. So whether that's this upcoming year or 2 years from now, which might be an interesting thing to look at if you're the Timberwolves, is now you have Andrew Wiggins, obviously, who's one of the only 2 players on your whole roster who's played all 66 games so far this season. It's Andrew Wiggins and Dieng, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, are the only 2 guys that have played all 66 games for you this season. Wiggins is averaging 15.7 points per game, 4.3 assists, 4.3 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. So, something that is great for a rookie, especially on a struggling team. And Dieng is averaging 9.5 points per game and 8.5 rebounds per game and chipping in a couple assists as well. So those are the 2 guys that have played every game for you this season, and the only two guys that have done so. So now you have, like I said, you got Andrew Wiggins, a young guy. You got Anthony Bennett, who was the first overall pick the year before that. He's played in 53 games this year. Anthony Bennett, chipping in with 5.2 points and 3.8 boards with just about an assist a game kind of thing. And now you have Adrian Payne, who's another guy who was drafted 14th overall in this past draft. Excuse me. So it's interesting to think that maybe with that future first round pick, they do decide to give it up as the pick in the 2015 draft because it's going to be high. A lot of teams are going to be excited to try to grab that kind of thing. Or do you get another high draft pick, have another young guy come in, and have a lot of these young guys, and hopefully they mesh. And by the time 2019 rolls around, when you picked up that second round pick kind of thing, maybe that's when you decide to give up that first round pick because now you're a contending team and it's like the 25th overall pick because now you're making the playoffs and making a run. Then rather than giving it up in the next couple of years when you're still going to be building and that first round pick is probably going to be a top 10, top 15 kind of thing. So we'll see what happens with that. Players that obviously have been hurt that have affected, I think, the success of the team. Ricky Rubio has only played in 21 games because he puts in his 10.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 8.8 assists. So he's almost a double-double guy with his double-doubles coming with points and assists, not points and rebounds, which is usually where you see double-doubles coming from. To have a guy in your roster that can be a double-double guy with assists is good. It means he's getting the ball to guys, and he has good looks, and he's regarded as one of the best passers in the league. And based on if you're averaging almost 9 assists per game, that's a good accolade to have. Pekovic, unfortunately, he's also only played in 31 games because he averages 12.5 points per game and 7.6 rebounds. So it hurts to not have him in the lineup for sure. Kevin Martin, he's also only played in 30 games, and he averages 19.7 points per game with 3.8 assists and 3.8 rebounds and 2.1 assists. So these are guys that now have only played half a season. So Kevin Martin, Pekovic, and Rubio were healthy and they had played, even 20 more games each kind of thing, or a full season, would the Timberwolves be a playoff contending team? I still don't think they'd be a playoff contending team, but I don't think they'd have a 14-52 record. I think they would have reached a 20 win game by now if those guys were healthy the whole time. Zach LaVine as well. He's played most games. He's played in 61. He's another young guy, arguably one of the best dunkers in the league, so he's an exciting guy to watch. He chips in 7.9 points per game with 2.2 rebounds and 3.1 assists. So these are all guys that are young. They need time to develop. They need time to see what can happen and grow and get some experience in the league. Garnett coming in, he's chipped in with 7.6 points per game and 5.2 rebounds since his return to the lineup. So, but again, I don't think he's your answer of how to make a playoff contending team because he's near the end of his career. Kevin Garnett isn't the guy you can bring in and is going to chip in, 25 points per game and 10 rebounds kind of thing, and he's just not at that stage in his career anymore. When he was initially with the Minnesota Timberwolves, then yeah, for sure, but now he's nearing the end of his career. He's a good veteran presence, a good guy to have in your starting lineup, but he's not going to be putting in as many minutes as well as you used to. And you can expect maybe 20 minutes a game for him, kind of thing on the court, kind of thing. But your young guys like Wiggins and Rubio and LaVine and all those young players, they're the ones that need to be stepping up and putting in 35 to 40 minutes a night. But you can't put it all on Wiggins' shoulders. Obviously, I think it's hard for a rookie to develop when his core group around him are hurt, like with Rubio not being in many of the games. He's only played a third of the season. Wiggins could be a 20-plus point per game guy if Rubio's on the floor because Rubio would clearly be finding a way to get Wiggins the ball as often as he could because Wiggins is the future of the franchise and almost you'd say the present of the franchise as well. But the Timberwolves are a rebuilding team, a developing team. We can expect improvements as the years go on in the near future for sure. Like I said, with their record, depending on what they do with that future first round pick that they traded to get Adrian Payne, they could have a top 5 pick this upcoming draft. So we'll see what they do with their draft picks. We'll see what they do in free agency. Unfortunately, rarely do you see great players wanting to come to a struggling team near the end of their career. Kevin Garnett has won a championship, so he's done that, and I think it's nice that he's come home. I enjoy seeing players doing that for sure, especially when you feel like they're going to make an impact on the team and they're doing the right thing. I think it's good for the NBA. I think it's good for Kevin Garnett. I think it's good for the Timberwolves. I think it's just an overall. I don't want to say it's a nice gesture, and he's come back to save the team and all that kind of stuff. Because no, he came to Timberwolves for numerous reasons. I think the main one is it's where he started his career. He wants to finish his career there as well. He's won a championship, so he doesn't need to continue to play for the Nets to try to win another championship or go to a contending team. He's done that. Many players play their entire career in the NBA and never win a championship. Some guys are lucky enough to win it 4 or 5 times. Kevin Garnett's now won it once. He's got a championship under his belt, and now he's back in Minnesota. And I think, depending on how many years he has left in his career, if he does retire after this season, then I think he will maybe take a front office job with Minnesota, or even just as a consultant for Minnesota. I think he's going to be within the organization for years to come, because a player like him is just somebody that it's good to have in your organization, whether it be on the court or behind the scenes, for sure. So good luck to the Wolves at the end of this season. Hopefully they can get to that 20-win mark and still have a top 5 pick in the draft, though it would kind of be a win-win situation, I think, for them. And hopefully they can get off of this 5-game losing skid they're on as well. They should be able to find a way to get to 20 wins. That's my hope for them. That's what I think would be nice for Minnesota fans to have. It's just something to look forward to, something to believe in. They are an exciting team to watch, and I think teams that struggle, their fans are understanding that this is a rebuilding thing, and we have these young kids, let them develop. And I would say by the 2019 season that you're going to be looking at a playoff contending team, depending on players they bring in, players who leave, that kind of thing. I do think that by the end of this decade, the Wolves will be making some playoff pushes, or at least having some solid 500 plus record seasons. So again, good luck to the Timberwolves at the end of the season. Thank you again for watching. I'll be finishing off Minnesota Week tomorrow with my look at the Minnesota Wild. Thank you very much. Bye bye.